we said, oh, we better sit back here. Now then we wanted to go to the toilet. So we got hold of the Russians and indicated what we wanted to do. And there was a whole heap of steps up into this airport. It was quite a large thing. And we had to stand at the top of the stairs and fiddle down the... So eventually we said that the Russians would take us back to our camp and the Americans could come with us. So McQueen, he said, I guess you jokers have never seen a B-29 before, you know, and away we went. He said, oh, I'll show it to you, you know. And we started to walk out, and the Russians we kept marching. Next thing, tat 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 at our feet.
Yes. Now, how many... The Japs capitulated on the 15th of August. This must have been at least a week after that the Russians arrived in Konan.
The Russians what?
When the Russians arrived in Konan, it would be well after the 15th of August. Do you remember the date that they came into your camp?
Yes, it was about a week.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it was something like a week because we couldn't get the Japs to tell us that the war was over. We had to tell them.
Yes. Yeah.
And in the end, it was us who locked them up.
Yes. Yeah.
Because what was going to happen now? Our blokes, even though they were doing, the Japs were doing guard on the gate, our blokes walked in and out. Right? And some of them went out. We went out for a bit of a walk, bit of a look around. Anyway, came back and we were on sort of camp duty. Anyway, one of these blokes came back into camp and he was almost full. Then he said to me, he said, oh, the Russians are going to come in here and wipe these Japs out. And do away with them. I said, what? He said, yeah, they're going to come in. I went up to one of our officers, Hamilton, I can't think of his name, and I told him what this bloke had said. He said, oh, he went and saw the captain. So they said, well, we better form our own guard, because if they come in here and start shooting up the Japs, there's some our blokes are going to get hurt too. And it's not worth it now, at this stage, for anybody to get knocked off. So we went up to they went up to the chap in charge, and he told them the situation through an interpreter, and so they agreed that we could go on the gate and guard the camp, and they go back to their quarters.
Yes.
And that when they came, the Russians came. They came in all their vehicles, having armed. They were going to demand to get in the gate. Oh, yes, you go, mate.
Yes. Now, how did you get home?
Ah, that's another good story. By this time, the Yanks had been with us for a day or two, and next thing over comes a Yankee plane. There's two blokes in it. They're from some command or another, I forget, but they were coming to take these blokes back. So they came out and the Russians impounded them, and brought them to the camp, and they could get nowhere. Anyway, the Russians then said, because I rode home to my mother from there and said that we were going to be brought home and to go through Russia. They were going to show us all Russia, and we'd never got home, of course. And down what they'd done in Germany and all the rest, we could go home. See? And anyway, I got a letter back from my mother pretty quick on that one. She said, I hope it doesn't. See? And of course we were there for nearly 6 weeks, half of us. And so then another plane come over, Yank, and he's the biggest Yank I've ever seen in my life. Big, steely-haired, couple of pistols in his pocket, yeah, and he was named a big Texan. And he was the commander of the airports in the Pacific. He went in, he talked to the Russians. That night, all the Yanks are gone, and next day we were on a train south.
Oh.
And that's when the 36 parallel started.
Yes. Yeah. So where'd the train take you to?
Down to Pusan.
Okay, and then where did you
Well,
go?
there was a Yankee hospital boat in there, the Mercy, and of course the Yanks were then occupying South Korea because the North and South Korea business was on. Anyway, all these nurses, they were all women. I said, come on boys, off to bed, you know, get into bed, we want to test you, see how you are. Bloody hell, no way. We've been watching around for 6 weeks. We've been looking after ourselves, you know. There were some sick blokes, like Ted Roots, he coughed up half a lung just before the war ended. He was in a pretty bad way. He had emphysema and all the rest of it. So he was on the hospital boat. Then we were on that for several days. And they said, well, we're here for 6 weeks. We've got to be here for the troops for 6 weeks until somebody else takes over. And then we'll take you for a trip home and then back to Australia. See? So there was a captain or a skipper of an aircraft carrier, the Illustrious. It was a converted cargo boat and had a deck put on. And he was in Shanghai. And, and he heard we were there. So he came up with a couple of destroyers and demanded that we be taken aboard his boat. And the Yanks objected very strongly, but he prevailed. And we went on board the aircraft carrier. Well, they laid out, they put all the planes up on the flight deck, and the hangar underneath, as far as you could see, was little folder beds. And we were allocated those, and we were given £2 and a